Back in the Oval Office again with the El Salvadorian president today, of course discussing major issues around the world with Donald Trump. And I've been seeing a lot of disrespectful attire in and out of the White House, i.e. Zelensky, okay, the Ukrainian president. So I decided to get my kit fully kitted out today. And of course I got a lot of comments saying, Chris, your language is being, non-professional. And we are the professionals, guys, over here at County Gains News Network. So we're about to rip a good one today, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. This one is named Trump Goes After Fake News, Spars with Low-Rated CNN Anchor. Okay, they are also actors. That was a Freudian slip, guys, because all the media, the mainstream media, are actors. They're bought and paid for. They create the news. They don't report the news. So this one should be legendary, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and let's get it, guys.
Let's hear the question from this very low-rated anchor at CBS.
Do you plan to ask President Bukele to help return the man who your administration says was mistakenly deported? The man who was mistakenly deported to El Salvador?
Well, let me ask Pam, would you answer that question?
Sure, President. First and foremost, he was illegally in our country. He had been illegally in our country. And in 2019, two courts, an immigration court and an appellate immigration court, ruled that he was a member of MS-13 and he was illegally in our country.
So this is referred to the homosexual barber that apparently was illegally deported to the mega prison that's in El Salvador. But of course, guys, El Salvador, has a pretty major gang problem. And of course, this president came in, completely cleaned up the actual country. Actually, El Salvador is safer than any country in the Western Hemisphere, guys. So it's pretty much safer than Ireland as well, which is insane because it's a third world country, very, very poor country as well. But it's amazing to see that they actually had a massive change in that place. But this barber was illegally in America, and they said that he was part of these gangs, and he had gang tattoos. So I don't know, guys. Make up your mind. I'm not convinced that he wasn't a gang member. I think it was pretty good to send him and deport this guy.
Right now, it was additional paperwork had needed to be done. That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us. The Supreme Court ruled, President, that if, as El Salvador wants to return him, this is international matters, foreign affairs, if they wanted to return him, we would facilitate it, meaning provide a plane.
So will you return him?
And you are doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Miller, wait a minute. Can you just also respond to that question? Because, it's asked by CNN, and they always ask it with a slant because they're totally slanting because they don't know what's happening. That's why.
True, CNN are complete propaganda. I mean, most of the mainstream media, guys, RT News, News Talk, Joe.ie, everyone is compromised in Ireland as well. Even the flippin' influencers. Even the influencers are compromised. It's ridiculous.
Nobody's watching them, but would you answer that question also, please?
Yes, gladly. So, as Pam mentioned, there's an illegal alien from El Salvador. So, with respect to you, he's a citizen of El Salvador. So, it's very arrogant even for American media to suggest that we would even tell El Salvador how to handle their own citizens as a starting point. As two immigration courts found that he was a member of MS-13. When President Trump declared MS-13 to be a foreign terrorist organization, that meant that he was no longer eligible under federal law, which I'm sure you know, you're very familiar with the INA, that he was no longer eligible for any form of immigration relief in the United States. So he had a deportation order that was valid, which meant that under our law, he's not even allowed to be present in the United States.
There you go. And there you go. Under the law, you're not allowed to be president in America. Get the hell out of here. You know what I mean? Like the flippin' Ronald Reagan said. This is such bullshit, guys. I don't understand how liberal, woke, DEI, Marxist people are now able to push people to stay in country committing illegal acts. If you're doing something illegal, let's just throw out the whole rule of law then. Let's just have no laws anymore. It's completely ridiculous.
Had to be returned because of the foreign terrorist designation. This issue was then, by a district court judge, completely inverted, and a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador from El Salvador who again is a member of MS-13, which, as I'm sure you understand, rapes little girls, murders women, murders children, is engaged in the most barbaric activities in the world.
Yes.
And I can promise you, if he was your neighbor, you would move right away.
So you don't plan to ask for it?
Americans can speak very well indeed, lads. I love to see that.
Just asking to. And
that-
what was the ruling in the Supreme Court, Steve? Was it 9-0
Yes, it was a 9-0
in our favor?
in our favor against the district court ruling, saying that no district court has the power to compel the foreign policy function of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
As Pam said, the ruling solely stated that if this individual, at El Salvador's sole discretion, was sent back to our country, that we could deport him a second time.
Well,
No version of this legally ends up with him ever living here because he is a citizen of El Salvador. That is the president of El Salvador. Your questions about it, per the court, can only be directed to him.
I asked
¿Usted lo
President
liberaría,
Bukele, what do you-
Presidente
what is
Bukele?
your- Can President Bukele weigh in on this? Do you plan to return him?
Well, I'm supposed to have suggested that I smuggle terrorists into the United States, right?
It's always
How can I smuggle, how can I return him to the United States? Like, I smuggle him into the United States? Of course, I'm not gonna do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
That's bad when even the president of El Salvador is making fun of the stupid questions that CNN and these propaganda media stations are asking. I mean, unbelievable.
Inside El Salvador. Yeah, but I'm not releasing, we're not very fond of releasing terrorists into our country. We just turned the murder capital of the world into the safest country of the Western Hemisphere.
Yep.
You want us to go back into the releasing criminals so we can go back to being the murder capital of the world? No, that's not going to happen.
Well, they'd love to have a criminal, released into
I mean, there's a fascination.
They would love it.
Yeah.
They're sick. These are sick people. Mark, do you have something to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, Stephen Island, I don't understand.
Damn, he is just going for the throat. Trump is just ruthless, man. He is a beast lately. Dude, he's going for the throat. These are sick people.
What the confusion is, this individual is a citizen of El Salvador. He was illegally in the United States and was returned to his country. That's where you deport people, back to their country of origin. Except for Venezuela, that wasn't refusing to take people back, or places like that. I can tell you this, Mr. President, no, the foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court. And no court in the United States has a right to conduct the foreign policy of the United States. It's that simple. End of story.
And that's what the Supreme Court held, by the way, to Marco's point. The Supreme Court said exactly what Marco said, that no court has the authority to compel the foreign policy function of the United States. We won a case 9-0, and people like CNN are portraying it as a loss, as usual, because they want foreign terrorists in the country who kidnap women and children. But President Trump, his policy is foreign terrorists that are here illegally get expelled from the country, which, by the way, is a 90-10 issue.
Yeah, like a lot of people in the liberal side as well. A lot of people don't understand. Are revolutionaries. They're anarchists. They're like terroristic. The left harbors terrorism for some reason. I don't understand why. There was an Interpol study done. Report came out. It said that 90% of all terrorist attacks in the last 20 years in Europe were all conducted by sort of radical left-leaning liberal groups. So it's absolutely unbelievable to even suggest that this conservative government is going to let any of these sick bastards, and which they are, back to roam the streets with the people, with the regular people like me and you guys. Okay?
Well, Mr. President, you said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago. And they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country?
Yeah.
Why can't you just say that? Why do you go over and over? And that's why nobody watches you anymore. You have no credibility. Please, go ahead.
President Trump, thank you so much. How many illegal criminals are you planning on exporting to El Salvador? And President Bukele, how many are you willing to take from the U.S.?
As many as possible. And I just asked the president, it's this massive complex that he built, jail complex. I said, can you build some more of them, please? As many as we can get out of our country that were allowed in here
absolutely.
by incompetent Joe Biden.
Well, it's incompetent EU as well. The same thing happened in Ireland. We had a guy come in from the UK, mind you, a country that's basically brother with Ireland, and he had 19 previous convictions, in the UK of really heavily offender, real heavily sexual assaults, crazy stuff, assault, robbery. And then he came to Ireland, and then within 2 days, he was committing the same atrocious acts, attacking women, stuff like that. and they weren't able to talk together. The sort of police, the Gardaí and the Metropolitan Police in England or whatever, the police they have, and they weren't able to kind of go back and forth and see that these guys are criminals, so they don't know who the hell they're letting into the country. It's absolutely, guys, this place is just, it's unbelievable. People don't even watch the news anymore. They don't, because it's just made up lies, guys. If you actually look at the news stories, shock you.
Through open borders. You probably hear open borders and you can't even understand it because nobody can understand it. Nobody smart or with common sense can understand it. So we have millions of people that should not be in this country that are dangerous, not just people, because we have people, but we have millions of people that are murderers, drug dealers. They've been allowed to come into our country by other countries that were very smart. When they heard that this very low IQ president, and by the way, I took my cognitive exam as part of my physical exam, and I got the highest mark, and one of the doctors said, "Sir, I've never seen anybody get that kind of, that was the highest mark."
Damn.
I hope
You got the highest mark in the cognitive exam. That's unbelievable. Good job, Mr. Trump. That's unbelievable.
you're happy with that, although they haven't been bugging me too much to take a cognitive, but I did do my physical and it was released. I hope you're all happy with it. I notice there's no question, so probably you are. But the cognitive, they said to me, "Sir, would you like to take a cognitive test?" I said, "Did Biden take one?" "No." "Did anybody take one?" "No, not too many people took them." I said,
I know George Bush Jr. didn't take one.
what about Obama? Did he take one?" "No, he didn't take one either." I said, "Let me be the only one to take one." But I've actually taken them 3 times already. I like taking them because they're not too tough for me to take. But we had a great physical exam, so I know you're going to ask that. And the doctors who are total professionals, Walter Reed Medical Center, they're great people. And I visited a soldier that was badly wounded, incredible soldier, lost his leg, and spent a lot of time with him. I mean, great with his mother, and it was really a very great thing. They do a phenomenal job. I just want to say, Walter Reed, I was there for, 5-6 hours. You were there with me. But I took a full physical, and it came out perfecto, so that's good. And she got me for a little longer.
Would the U.S. be willing to pay for those facilities to be opened if new ones were going to be built?
I'd do something, we'd help them out, yeah. We help them. They're great facilities, very strong facilities, and they don't play games. I'd like to go a step further. I mean, I said it to Pam, I don't know what the laws are, we always have to obey the laws, but we also have homegrown criminals that push people into subways, that hit elderly ladies on the back of the head with a baseball bat when they're not looking.
Crazy shit.
That are absolute monsters. I'd like to include them in the group of people to get them out of the country, but you'll have to be looking at the laws on that, Steve, okay?
Yeah, that would be great, guys, to deport people that are, serial offenders or like really violent offenders, people that hit old people, kids, stuff like that. That would be great. They should build a super prison, in flipping Saudi Arabia or something and do that,
Essential is it for you guys to be locking up these prisoners? And do you think more presidents should follow suit like you guys as far as taking a hard stance on crime here in the United States?
Well, I do. I think everybody has to. I mean, the president said it better than anybody. He said, you have liberty and you have to have liberty, but to have liberty, not everybody is going to be good. And, some are bad because they're sick. They're mentally deranged. They're bad.
Why do you
Then you have to take them, if you're going to have a country, you're going to have to take those people out. And we've been doing that. But this was like an unforced error, they would call it, where we had people that may hate our country, or maybe they're just stupid people. I think they're probably stupid people more so. A lot of people said they did it for the vote. But I did better with Hispanic people than they did, because they always use Hispanic. I did better. You people love me.
People are woken now to what the hell is going on. Hispanic people, black people. We all know that, the sort of woke spin that the left, the liberals are trying to spin on the conservatives and people on the right are trying to do now. But we're going to leave it right there, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. Hope you guys liked my suit. I put some effort in for this video because people were hating on me. Also, I'm jealous of Donald Trump's American flag pin, so I'm going to get an Irish flag pin the next time you guys see this one. I think I'll buy one in town. I think you just buy them in the tourist shop, and then you'll see me, County Gaines, wearing an Irish flag and you won't see Irish politicians doing that. I've never seen Leah Varadkar do that. I've never seen any Irish politician, Micheál Martin, do that. I've never seen any Irish politician wear an Irish flag pin. Could you imagine? County Gaines gets a flag pin before the flipping politicians. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe. If you want to support me, push back against the mainstream, hit the join link, become a member, stay free, and I'll see you guys in the next one, man. Peace.